Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
But to this day, she's like, no, really, William Shatner was your real father. And I'm like, I don't believe that.
Hey, this is Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and welcome to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
The podcast where space is not the final frontier, just another button on your keyboard. All right, guys, our guest today is the co-host of a fun podcast that I like to follow called the Scene Snobs. Everyone, say hello to Mick Manhattan.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Mick.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so Mick, before we get into the meat of who and what Mick Manhattan is, let's share with the audience what the show is about and how the name Scene Snob came about.
I was just thinking real quick, it's going to get confusing with a Nick and a Mick for you.
That's fair. You can just call me Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan. No, I am no doctor. You just have to call me Mr. Manhattan. I did not get my degree. So
I did not go to evil school for 8 years to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
The Scene Snobs came about. I was looking for, I had a blog called Movies 365 years ago, and I was looking to move it on into a website and kind of create from there and do, videos, things like that. And as I did, I realized Movies 365 is taken. And, and so I went about and I just decided, all right, I'm gonna see what's out there. And there's a group here of disc jockeys, sports disc jockeys in DC called the Sports Junkies. So I was like, all right, well, maybe the Screen Junkies or something like that, or the Movie Junkies, whatever. So it kind of like went from there, and everything was taken as we were going. So I finally came upon the Scene Snobs. Realized, hey, it's not taken. I actually like that most of all, ran with it. So long story short, thescenesnobs.com, we that jumped out about 2018, and in October 2019 we launched the network.
So what, on your personal show though, what do you talk about mostly on the Scene Snob?
Oh, the podcast, the Scene Snobs
on the podcast.
We it was me for the longest time by myself, and then I started bringing on guest hosts. We talk about up-to-date topics in the entertainment industry or within the realm of geekdom and fandom. And we try to ask almost absurd questions that everybody would be into, like, who's your favorite father figure in comedy movies? Or who's your least favorite pet in a TV show? Stuff like that, to really get the interaction going between the people watching, because it's a live show. Just on top of that, we'll talk about like kind of what's going on. We've been discussing WandaVision. We'll talk about the state of what movie theaters are going through, things like that. But we'll add a lot of comedy to it.
All right, cool. So first things first, now that we've got that first thing out of the way. So our second first things first, I just realized that what I said there. So, all right. So we love to talk with other creative people about what their influences are and what they love and how they got to be where they're at in their sense of fandom. Now, you were kind enough to send us a list of your likes, your dislikes before today so that we could talk to you about the world of sci-fi. Now, I happen to notice we have a mutual dislike in the world of sci-fi. So we're going to talk about that first. And that's the wretched world of Dune.
Oh, I hate that movie.
Yeah. I remember seeing this in the theater as a kid and just thinking, God, this sucks. But for you, what was the reason why you dislike it so much? What is it about Dune that does not appeal to the Scene Snob?
Well, I want to say, Nick, I don't know how you feel about the movie, but Tim, there's three people who definitely hate this movie. That's you, that's me, and that's David Lynch.
Yeah,
the man made the movie, so that says something. Now, I will say this: what makes me hate Dune? Have you seen it? It's
fair enough.
Terrible. The whole thing is just long. It's a slow burn of stupid. And that's and I've seen that movie twice now in my life, unfortunately. One, because so many people, because you have to watch it the first time because everybody talks about it.
Right.
And then the second time, because I was like, am I wrong? Am I just wrong in this? Like, it seems like so many people really love this movie that maybe I'm just not seeing something. And I'll tell you, that second time I did see something exactly what I saw the first time. Stupid movie. It did not get any better. I don't care what names are in it. And you know what? It turned me off to the Police and Sting. I'm sorry. I can't even listen to their music anymore without thinking about those little metal undies. It's just that whole movie is so stupid. I know it's that word away. I can't get over how much I really dislike Dune. And I could listen. Let's face facts. The greatest part of that movie are the sandworms. And I can watch Beetlejuice. So what's the point of watching Dune? Who cares? I like every actor in it. Every actor in it is a fine actor, except for Snang. Every actor in it is a fine actor. I like Kyle MacLachlan, the whole nine yards. I've worked with Sean Young, so like I can't hate people for this movie, but I just hate this movie. It is so dumb. I don't know how people like this snooze fest. I don't know how people stay awake for it.
I call it the Denver airports of movies. It's needlessly long. And it's easy to get lost in. And I just, and I first saw it, I think I was 7 or 8. So I was pretty young. And so there was a lot of science fiction tropes and things that were going on in that movie that were clearly way up here, well above my head. But I watched it again in my early 20s, and I still felt that it was needlessly long and confusing. But then I also found out who David Lynch was, and then most of his stuff is confusing. And so it never really sat well for me.
Well, David Lynch is an artiste.
Yeah.
He's
that also explains Twin Peaks, but hey.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just too. And listen, I embrace the absurd. I like it. I'm all about it. And I like David Lynch. I don't hate David Lynch as a filmmaker. He is weird. His movies don't always make sense, even though he's like, if you think deeper meaning, no, it's really not. There's no deeper meaning. You're just crazy.
Well, yeah, but there's Tim Burton, and I like Tim Burton's weird, and then there's David Lynch, where I'm kind of on the fence anyway because it's David Lynch, and then I go, no, we'll try it.
Where does M. Night Shyamalan fall in on there?
Somewhere in between Burton and Lynch. Make some good movies. Some are a swing and a miss. Lady in the Water. And then there's I like Signs. I liked Sixth Sense. I like, some of the other things that he's done. The Village I thought was a really well done movie. But
didn't love the twist, but I did like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the twist is what sold me on it.
Oh, okay.
At the end, I'll be honest. I was kind of confused as to how this is all, and I started piecing it together as you get towards the end of the Village, and I was like, oh, and that kind of sold me on it. It was like that made it a really good story to me. So
he really screwed himself on the Sixth Sense being the big twist, because it was just like, since then his movies were just so unappreciated because they didn't live up to it. He just should have come out and said, I'm not a twist guy. That was that one movie.
Right. I got lucky. I hit the bullseye my first time out, and
because Unbreakable's his best movie in my opinion.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good show too.
Yeah. So we know you don't like the classic Dune, but do you think that the Dune reboot will be any better? And would you give it a chance?
I am going to definitely give it a chance. That's one thing I will say. If there's a movie, I hate critics who don't see something and still criticize it poorly because they're just, quick to jump on all the hate. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not willing to give something a chance, I shut up about it. I won't talk about it.
Right.
I will go see the new Dune. It does look more interesting than the, whatever that was in the 80s. But I will say not much more interesting, because the story was the worst part, in my opinion. I was just like, I don't really care. I was like, I don't care what's happening here.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks struggle with the, and this is a common issue with a lot of books that are made into movies is the modernization of the book into a movie, or trying to convert the written page onto film, which doesn't always work. There are some movies that have done it really well, but for a lot of people, that's a hit or a miss. And I think Frank Herbert's work in the book is probably hard to transfer to the big screen, or at least hasn't been done right yet. So, maybe that'll get better with this version. Maybe technology for the sci-fi, what they're trying to do, will have caught up a little bit. It'll make some of the scenes and maybe tie it in a little better. Who knows?
I think a lot of those types, like Princess of Mars, things like that, like they tried it with John Carter, didn't work. Because the books, all of those details that are put in are so important that you get this feeling like when it comes to the movie, it's so rushed. You're trying to tell this huge epic tale that should probably be told as a TV show or a miniseries or something. And you're trying to tell it like Children of Dune I've seen. And I actually saw that before I saw Dune. And I kind of dug that. I was like, all right, this is a little more, and I was able to compare the two afterwards, but I was like, this is a little more interesting in my opinion. I things like that, like if you rush it, especially science fiction, which I think well-written science fiction is so intricate, everything is important within that story. It's just sad to see it kind of get ruined by just being a rushed movie.
Like you were saying, how the whole like sci-fi being told as more of a longer story. I really like how like Netflix and Hulu and like even Amazon are taking some of these sci-fi things and really expanding on them. And like, I would love the new Lost in Space reboot. Like, I like the old ones, but I also love the new story that they put to it too, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think honestly, for a lot of these sci-fi shows, this is the way to do it. I think that's why WandaVision works, is because you're able to, instead of trying to cram everything into a 90-minute to 120-minute sit down at once and watch it, because there's so much to tell in those expansive universes that you have an opportunity to kind of expand it out, do it little bit by little bit by little bit, and really kind of to dive deep into it. So I think for those type of things, it works well. However, the one area where I remember it not working so well was, with the teddy bears on Endor after Return of the Jedi. That was horrible. Please don't ever watch that.
What do you mean? It was the best thing ever.
The cartoon?
I love the Ewoks.
I like the Ewoks on Return of the Jedi. Anything off that, we're gonna have a disagreement. But
oh my God, that movie gave me such the Battle of what was the Battle of Endor? It gave me such. Was that the one with Ed Asner? Or was
yes?
Yeah, when the kid touches the water, and then he's stuck under the water. I was a little kid when I saw that. I never wanted to touch a river or a lake again. I was like, I'm going to be stuck under it.
Right.
But that's I've never watched it as an adult. So
good luck getting me in the bath, Mom.
I'm not
all right, so all right, so let's talk pre-podcasting career. Now, you worked in the film industry for quite some time. You have a nice list of shows and some various different roles that you did over the time. Which one was your favorite set to be on, and why?
Every set I've ever been on, I enjoy. I know that feels like a cop-out.
Oh, that's the cop-out answer. Come on, you got to pick one.
No. I'll definitely pick. I'll pick some.
It's like your kids lining up. We're going to force you to pick a favorite.
Listen, I have great stories from all of them. Some of the better ones that I was on were some of the crappier movies.
Okay.
Sure. I was not credited in it, and because you have to work at least 5 days as a PA to be credited on a movie, and I only worked 3, and that was the Chicago scene in The Dark Knight, and the Chicago scene was when they had the Gordon's funeral memorial service.
Yeah.
So it was very hectic. I was on the outskirts of it. But it was just really cool to see a scale of that to that level. That was like the biggest thing I ever worked on. So just being a small little fish in that big like ocean was huge, and to see all the chaos, but it was very organized chaos and kind of how they did it. I learned a lot on that set. But my favorite set to be on. All right, there's two, and the reason I have to bring them both up is because they have very provocative settings. One is called Zombies, Strippers versus Zombies. I was a lighting PA on that one, and I was also an extra and a zombie. I shouldn't even just say extra. And they filmed it in a old strip club, down in Florida. We filmed there for like a week or two, and it was just everything about it was so much fun. Tiffany Shepis was on it, a few other actors and actresses, but she was probably the biggest name on it. And we just had such a great time. Like, we really bonded in the fact that we're stuck in this house of ill repute, shooting shooting this zombie film that's so absurd. And I'll tell you another story about a great time I had on set. I worked on a movie called Signal Lost, and that was the one with Sean Young, actually.
Okay.
Sean Young was in it. Tony Dennison from The Closer. I cannot remember his name. He was a good kid, though. He played young Leonidas in 300, the one who fights the wolf.
Okay.
They were all in it, and it was I don't even really know what it was about. It was about a family right before a nuclear bomb is about to hit Los Angeles or something. You don't remember these things. You just remember the times on set. We were working on that for like 6 days straight. It was my first production in Los Angeles when I moved out there to work on it. And I was a script supervisor. And it was in this big mansion where they shot adult films. They didn't tell us that. They rented out for many things, but one of the things they rented out for were adult films. And I'm sitting there, and they kept saying to me, they shoot adult films here. And I was like, yeah, so? And they remind me everywhere I sit, obviously has to be in that film because, it's a cheetah printed chair, or it's it's like a purple pool table or something. And I'm just like, yeah, there's no place to sit in this house, because everything I sat on, I was just like, yeah, this is clearly in a movie. It has
right.
to.
Right.
But one of my favorite stories was day 4, I think it was. We work in 20 hours. We're all exhausted. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to work. We're working on a dinner scene with the family. I'm laying on the couch at this point. I don't care what movies it's been in. I'm just tired at this point and can't deal. And I'm the script soup. So it's like, all right. So I'm sitting there. The whole crew is just lagging, not ready to do anything. So Sean Young is at the head of the table, and she gives this very impassioned speech. She was a very passionate woman about everything, but very cool, very fun to get along with. And she goes this whole speech about why we do the art that we do and what we love doing, and very inspiring. But it is inspired no one on set. It was just at that point where we were too tired.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. And you could tell she was really trying to wrangle everybody and kind of rally them and get them going. And then she finishes it, and she realized, nobody cares what I just said. And I lift the pillow off my face as I'm laying on the couch, and I go, the laces were out. And then I drop the pillow again. She's like, the laces were in. From that point forward, we went another 4 hours, and we were all just giddy and singing and laughing and having a good time. So that shows, and it's happened on many sets where that one thing can really make everybody rally. And that's why I always had such a great time. I always said filmmaking is the one thing I can't wait to leave at the end of the day because I'm exhausted, but I can't wait to get back the next morning.
That's awesome. Right. Who doesn't love a good Ace Ventura quote, by the way?
So now for a little bit of something that you love. I mean, Great Scott, Johnny Be Good for the future of our generations. Yeah. What about the Back to the Future is endearing to you?
I everything, every bit of that wonderful movie. I love the all three of them, but it's the first one that is just, it's my absolute favorite. I don't know what it was. It's the nostalgia of it. I just have some weird connection to it where I can't move from a spot when it's on TV. I have to watch. And I can watch it and quote along with it and not get bored with it at all.
And they play all three of them back to back. So
yeah, generally my day is shot, at that point. But if I absolutely have to go someplace, it will happen right after Marty returns. So, but even the ending of that movie, even when as soon as he gets back from the dance, and everything goes haywire trying to get him back to the future, I still have that thrilling feeling every time I watch it. That is he going to make it? I know he's going to. I've seen the movie like 400 times. I know he's going to make it, but I still get that. And with no other movie I've seen before, does that happen?
Well, that's a sign of a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I truly, absolutely love that movie so much.
I like Back to the Future Part 2. I like Back to the Future Part 3, but I can skip those, but I can't seem to skip Part 1. If Part 1 is on, I'm going to watch it anytime and every time. Part 2, I'll watch pretty regularly. Part 3, I kind of skip over that one, although that's got some fun lines in it too, being on the Wild West stuff, but I get it.
It's one of those movies too that it's got something adventurous for everybody. Somebody at every point in age and family can connect to this movie. It's got a cool car. It's got a cool kid at the helm. It's got a weird, crazy scientist. The parents are, if you're a geek, you can identify with George McFly. If if you've been in love with a beautiful woman, you can identify with Lorraine, or beautiful women or women in general can identify with like how crazy her hormones are as a teenager. Every aspect of that movie just somehow connects to everybody.
Funny Science Fiction will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now back to Funny Science Fiction.
And it touches down on everything: bullies, racism, the whole 9 yards down the line. And it's nostalgic at its core.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good time.
One of the things I like most about that movie is it's a mix of nostalgia, humor, and music. And they blend all three of those things in really well. And I love the fact that they worked Huey Lewis into the movie but him not actually playing a song. I thought that was genius, by the way. So, and then him calling rock and roll too loud. And I was like, well done, bravo. So now we talked a minute ago about your likes and dislikes, the fact that you sent us that list. But I also wanted to mention that on that list of likes, of course, with this movie that we just talked about, Back to the Future, but there was also RoboCop and The Day the Earth Stood Still. And you mentioned that you have a top 10 list of favorite movies and that all three of those movies were in it. So I'm kind of curious, what other movies are in your top 10 list, whether they're sci-fi or not, and what version of the Day the Earth Stood Still is in that list?
Oh, the original. Hands down, Robert Wise original. Always. I won't even... There is no other version. I won't even... Nope. Not even going to acknowledge that one. I love Keanu, but,
Not so much for that one.
Not for that one. And that's not his fault. They just missed the mark entirely of what that whole movie was about. Robert Wise as a director is just amazing. I won't bring up Star Trek, but...
No, you can. Absolutely, you can. I'm coming around. I'm working on it.
West Side Story. He did West Side Story. I'll give him that.
Okay.
So some of my favorite movies of all time, Jurassic Park's on there. It's one that inspired me to get into filmmaking. The Searchers is on my top 10 list. Unforgiven.
Oh yeah. I
love that movie. The Warriors, if not in my top 10, in my top 20. I love The Warriors. I have a very close connection to both sci-fi and westerns. Alien is on that list. I love Alien. As much as I love the Star Wars movies, I don't think anyone actually made the top 10, but Casablanca. Empire Strikes. That's the no out of all of my whole list of Star Wars, like where I place them, Empire's always first, hands down. So
Empire is my all-time favorite movie, number one with a bullet.
And I completely understand that.
That's really my entry point into the Star Wars fandom is Empire. So
such a great choice. No, I was just going to say, I don't think there's, and I know I'm making a sweeping declaration here. In a true trilogy, I don't think there's any second movie in a true trilogy that does it as perfectly as Empire.
I'd agree with you. Empire is in my opinion, and I like all the Star Wars movies. I can pick out things out of each one that I'm not a fan of, or think something I didn't like, some detail or reason why I can see why people didn't like that particular movie. But I'm a fan of all of them. But that is the best out of the Star Wars canon, the best that Lucas has ever brought to the table, the best that Lucasfilms has ever brought to the table, whether pre-Disney, post-Disney, whatever you want to say. That is the mark that every Star Wars movie should be hitting for, in my opinion.
I was thinking about one film that I don't think gets a lot of love is called Planet 51.
That's the animated one, isn't it?
It's an animated one. It's where the human lands on the alien planet, but the aliens are all like stuck back in the 50s.
Yeah. And that's actually a pretty good show. I remember that.
Yeah. I remember that one too. That sticks out with me. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good storyline there.
So oftentimes the funny comes from mashing two things up. Our Facebook group is filled with memes that are mashed of this and whatever. And so I would like you to take something from your favorite list and something from your dislike list. I would like you to mash the two together. And which favorite movie would you mash up with a dislike so that it would take it off your dislike list?
Okay. This is a tough question. And, I'm thinking about it, and I really want to answer it correctly. Here's what I would do. I would take Dune, and I would probably add it to Jurassic Park so they all get eaten. And it makes that movie just so much better. No,
30 seconds in, no more spice. All right, we're done.
No more spice. We don't need it anymore. No, that's such a great question. So I want to do it due diligence. One thing, while I think about it, that I think was really well done, both by Michael Crichton, was Westworld to Jurassic Park. Taking those concepts and making it bigger and making it more science fiction in such a fun way. So like if you're going to take, like, because I liked Westworld enough, but it's not one I really revisit often. And the TV show was fine, but I didn't fall in love with it like everybody seemed to be. Taking that concept and then transferring it over to dinosaurs, I was like, you just hit the mark. Like that's just perfect. Like everybody loves dinosaurs, and you made the science fiction, horror, the whole 9 yards, and you've added great characters to it. So I thought that is a great sort of mashup in a way. But if I were to do it to fix something, I would probably take what's something I don't like a science fiction show I don't like, or
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would do something along. I would take maybe like RoboCop, and take something like I'm not a big fan of like the remakes of the Charlie's Angels, like all of them, things like that. But it might be cool to do something like that where you've gotten like a RoboCop type of movie. I'm not saying it has to be RoboCop, but like a privatized group of robots that are fighting crime. Okay. I'm just spitballing. This is truly something I'm spitballing here, but that would definitely make the Charlie's Angels element way more exciting to me.
Mechanizing G.I. Joe. All right.
Knowing's half the battle, and
that's right.
I don't know. So
there you go. All right. So if there's likes, clearly there has to be dislikes. And we've talked about a couple of those now. In the bio that you sent to us, you only mentioned the lack of imagination and Dune as your dislikes. Actually, what you said is you said Dune sucks, and you put that in all capitals. Now, you have a top 10 list of favorite movies, but I have to assume that we need to talk about the other guys. And I don't mean the movie starring Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, although there are some great quotes and one-liners coming out of that movie as well. So tell us what other movies make it to your suck list and why.
So weird to me. Like I think about it, like I don't like the Transformers movies. Never been a big fan of them. I did like the cartoon growing up, but I don't think it was anything that really like stuck out to me. So I think that's why with the movies, like I'm glad my kids like them, but for me, I'm just kind of like, I don't even care about the giant robots fighting element. Give me Gundam.
Right.
I'll take that any day of the week. For me, movies like that, they have no imagination is really what it comes down to, and that's why I said that. Other movies that I just find really bad. Man, I should have come more prepared on. I didn't expect the bad movies to come out, but
we got them, Nick. We snuck one in on them. All right.
You did, but no, there's plenty I hate. But there was one that came out with Nicolas Cage not too long ago, Color of Space. I truly hated that movie. I thought that was the stupidest movie, in my opinion.
I don't think I've even heard of that movie.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Of course, there's Battlefield Earth.
No, thank you.
Yeah, just movies like that. I think it's pretty regular list. I think if it's anything, and then really, and I know this feels like a cop-out, but if it lacks imagination, I'm just not interested. Like, because you've just lost me all around.
Yeah, I find like certain stories, how it's like, okay, it's all action. There's like no character development and stuff. And it's like, I kind of like the character development. I do like some of the action, yeah, but when there's no story to it, it's kind of like, okay.
To quote a line from one of my favorite movies, which is Fanboys, which if you've never seen Fanboys and you like Star Wars, why are you still watching us and not watching Fanboys? Well, please come back and watch us later. But to quote a line from Fanboys, you can't be all Michael Bay, all flash and no substance. So, which then again explains your dislike for the Transformers. So,
but I love The Rock. I love The Rock.
Yeah. So I have a hard time with Michael Bay movies for just for that reason. A lot of cool explosions, not a whole lot of character development. Well, we have come to that time in our show where we have a quiz for you, and it's about fandoms. So, not necessarily your fandoms, but there's some fandoms out there that might appreciate these questions. Now, there's 5 questions. If you get 3 of them right, you get a chance to win our lovely parting gift, the I Gave to the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans coffee mug. If you get 4 of them right, not only do you keep the mug, but we add a bonus gift, which is Drayton Allen's book, Custodians of the Cosmos, which is loosely based on Star Trek, and it just disappeared in the greens. There it is. It's back. It's all lovely now. Okay, but that's Drayton Allen's book, based loosely on Star Trek and a gentleman washing out of the Federation and decides to become a custodian aboard a ship, and how he boldly cleans up after those who boldly just went. So, and we'll make sure that if you get 4 out of 5, we'll make sure that we get Drayton to sign it for you as well.
Yes.
All right. So, but however, if you do not make the 30% in order to receive the mug, we call it a fun sequence. We take a picture of you and we make a meme out of you. Do you agree to these terms?
I do agree to these terms.
All right. We have it on record.
Oh, no, this is going to be bad.
All right. So in each question, there's 5 questions. Each question is multiple choice. So you have a chance of finding the answer in each one of these.
Okay.
In Dune, the single most valuable commodity is by far an edible substance called melange. This highly addictive material is found only on the desert planet of Arrakis. What is it? Rice, mice, or spice?
I'm going to answer correctly because I really want that mug in that book, but I just want to say it's crap is what it is. No, it's spice. Are these all Dune questions? I feel I'm going to get my meme so bad. I'm going to get memes so bad.
All right. In the movie Dune, the expression, Kaswitz Haderach, said by Aaliyah in the last line of the movie, literally means jumping the path. In what language? Is it French, Hebrew, or Russian?
I don't know. I'm gonna say Hebrew.
I will say that you're correct.
Oh, thank God, that was a total.
See, all right, next Dune question.
I should have never said a thing about Dune. I joking around. The movie I hate the most is Jurassic Park.
I take it back.
Which of the following is not one of RoboCop's prime directives? Serve the public, do no harm, or uphold the law?
I think do no harm isn't on there, right?
You are correct.
Yeah, because it's don't harm the innocent.
Correct. That was the other
Yes.
one. So, all right. Moving on. You're 3 for 3, by the way. That earns you a mug.
Sweet.
And you no longer have to have your picture taken, and you have skipped the fun sequence.
Well, I'm glad we got the RoboCop.
Well, we may have put the first 2 questions in on purpose. All right. So, question number 4. What was the name of Doc Brown's dog in 1955? Was it Edison?
Copernicus.
Oh, look at you go. I didn't even get to get on. All right.
Einstein was the 80s. Copernicus was the 50s.
Very good. I was going to give you both of those options to try and confuse you, but I can see there is no fooling you.
Do you remember which pitcher he talked to in the second one?
What pitcher?
Yeah. Thomas Edison.
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
Tom, what am I going to do? I told you I've watched those movies way too many times.
Clearly. All right.
What is the correct name of the device that makes time travel possible?
Flux
Is it-
capacitor.
You are
I
correct.
have, you know what? It's so funny because I have it somewhere around here. It's a flux capacitor car charger. You plug it in and it lights up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad you say Back to the Future for that. I don't even need the multiple choice. I love those movies. I love them so much.
All right. So 5 for 5 is our result of our game. So you get the coffee mug, the book, and we'll have Drayton do a little bit of vandalization in the front cover.
Well, I very much appreciate this, guys. And I appreciate you saving the best for last.
Well, we tried.
Worst for front, best for last.
We just wanted to scare you a little bit.
I think we accomplished that. I feel pretty good about that.
Oh, those first 2 questions, I'm like, I'm done. As soon as you were like French, Hebrew, or Russian, I'm like, I don't know. I forgot there was lines in that movie. So I will just, I will say thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you for this, and screw Dune.
There you go.
Well, Mick, thank you so much for being on the show today. Where can people go to find out more about all of your work?
Head over to the scenesnobs.com. That's the best place. We have our full schedule on there. We have our shows. You can check out all the shows I'm on. Where they're either live or pre-recorded, but we broadcast everything throughout the week. So if you follow us on social media, you will see our shows. You can, just go ahead right over there. We have our blog up, so you can see our movie reviews, the whole 9 yards. TheSceneSnobs.com. It's the best way to go.
Awesome. We will be sure to put those in the description down below so that people are able to click those.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we want to remind everybody that subscribing is the single most important thing that you can do to ensure that we get a more amazing guests like Mick here and funny moments for you to listen to. So please subscribe. It really does help more than you're ever going to know. And be sure as well to go over to scenesnobs.com, check out Mick, his show, The Scene Snobs, and all the rest of his content on there as well. You guys will not be disappointed. I subscribe to several of those shows, and I enjoy them very much. However, if for whatever reason you're not happy with the content of our video today, all you have to do is submit in single form by signature mail to our complaint department, which is headed up, of course, by the Ben Jesseret. And trust me, you do not want to be around when the offending party has to put their hand in the box.
Fantastic.
Well, thanks again, guys.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for watching. Mick, thank you for being a guest on Funny Science Fiction.
Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which supports the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort that you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 88. He'll know that when he puts on the red shirt and gets ran over by Doc Brown's DeLorean 5 minutes after the clock tower incident but before his parents fade from the photo, that he didn't leave his family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has his back and his half-melted shoes.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySci-Fi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Copyright 2020 by Drayton Allen. Original music by Jordan Michaels. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of or by Funny Science Fiction or its sponsors. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at DraytonAllen@DraytonAllen.com.